Hello, everyone. Welcome to Loud and Proud Orlando. It's Monday, January the 20th, 7:13 p.m. Thank you so much for the 40 people live right now joining us here at the pod. Thank you for your support. We have the pleasure of having Corey and Dan from the Ruckus here with us. We're going to be discussing, some of the what's coming up with the ruckus, and then we're gonna kind of dive in into kind of like the latest rumors and news that are happening within the club, Nicolás Rodríguez transfer news, all of that and more. Thank you for your support. We're here with Corey and Dan. Corey, how are you?
I'm great. How are you guys?
Good to have you. So excited to have you. Dan, how are you, Dan?
Doing good, Lewis. Thank you. Thank you for
Yeah,
asking.
no problem. John, how are you, my friend?
I'm
Excited?
great. I'm excited to talk all about Ruckus with Corey and Dan. I see them all the time out there on the wall doing their thing. And if you didn't catch last week, we talked all about with ILF, and this week we talk all about Ruckus with these two Ruckus leadership members who have been around. And I'm excited to hear their point of view and also talk all the transfer news because it's still crazy season. We don't know what's going on, and we're finding out more information every day. But excited to see what happens next, Luis.
Fantastic. We have some comments real quick here. Salty H2O says, "Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you, sir." Vega, hey guys. Owen, Ruckus till I die. And ladies, says Salty as well. William Diaz Granado says, "Good evening." Thank you, William. Appreciate it. So yeah, obviously, we have on our background some of the, support, a massive support. I think, seeing it from a different perspective, at least from the press box, you always see, press sees different supporter groups. I always, and this is not biased in any way, but I mean, from all the supporter groups that I've seen, I think the most passionate and the most loud is the Orlando City supporter group, especially the Ruckus. So it's cool that you guys are here. I wanted to personally thank you for what you guys do and what you guys have created since the inception of the club. I think it's super important. But I kind of want to ask you, I guess we could start with Corey and then she can switch to Dan. How did the Ruckus started? How did it started? What is the Ruckus individually? As a group.
Actually, I think Dan is probably better because Dan.
Okay, I'll try to keep it.
Dan is a co-founder of the Ruckus, so he might be the better option on that one.
Well, thank you, Corey. Yeah, 2010. I was looking. I heard news on the internet that we may get a soccer team. My wife and I, we were insistent that they have some sort of supporters group, something. So we got together. We met the John, I believe that's your dad, and
Yep.
met with yeah, and
I remember.
and we went around and just tried to drum up support with this. We finally people were like kicking us out of pubs like downtown and everything. Okay, cut it out. There's going to be a soccer team. Big deal. Get out. We're watching Arsenal. It's just get away from us. So we decided to have a supporters summit. We did that at Orlando Brewing. But we only got like about 40 people initially, but it was really cold. We got some pizza, and then the Orlando City crew showed up, which included your parents, John, and they brought more pizza. More people came, and we sold some T-shirts and just to try to drum up excitement about that, and it seemed to work. I remember, if I may just share a quick story with you, I'm at a tailgate about 2-3 years later. Bill comes up to me and says, Dan, I mentioned that supporters summit that you and Lori put on to the Orange County Commission while we're trying to get the government behind what we're doing here. And I knew at that day, it was the 22nd of January, I believe, in 2011. I knew that day that we'd be successful here in Orlando. So I always thought that was a great story, and that's something I carry with me. But we just went through the USL days, and then MLS came along. We just grew and grew. We got great people like Cori and the rest of the crew that's currently working, and people that have worked, in leadership before. Just great people, and it's been great. And we're in our 15th year now doing this stuff.
15 years, man. Wow, damn. When you say it like that, it's crazy. And those 2011 tailgates, I remember that was a great time, man.
Oh yeah,
we had a lot of fun way back then, and it felt like a really true, like, small family at that point. And I think if you were there in those years, you really appreciate those USL years. And anybody who wasn't, I feel like they're kind of jealous that they weren't there in those years a little bit. But whenever you joined, right, it's great.
That's right.
And to see it from what it was then to what it is now. I mean, Cori, maybe you can speak to what the Ruckus is now and what you guys kind of do.
So I joined in a little against my will. I think a lot of people have heard of this story quite a few times, but I joined in our inaugural year in MLS. And I was brought in by a capo and a prior member of leadership, and just seeing and hearing all the stories from USL, it was and experience doesn't seem like the right way to describe it. It was life-changing, and I denied it for like 2 months. Don't get me wrong, but it was probably the most spectacular thing I've ever seen or ever been a part of, going to football games and everything else, or hand egg, and then coming over to soccer. What we've morphed into over the last 10 years is mind-blowing, where I see where we came from. Obviously, we had that big start with Kaká coming on and having all of this hoopla and all this attraction, and everything was fantastic. And then we had that awful 2018 season where everything died off. And Ruckus has stuck it out through it all. Ruckus continues, and of course with ILF as a partner, that wall has continued to be the 12th man on the field and pivotal. And it's so insane being a part of that and being able to have a small claim in some of the outcomes that our team has gone through, and having them have that wonderful relationship with supporters. We continue to do what we did at the start. We show up, we're loud, we make the tone, we partner well with ILF and setting up those TIFOs and having great displays. And a lot of the things that we've really fixated on over the last 10 years, more so than anything, is like things with Ruckus Cares and giving back to the community, and really not only putting our stamp on the league, but putting our stamp on the city that we all love so much.
No,
Luis,
fantastic. It's pretty much, you guys have had a history of, obviously making the crowd, sound, and had a different kind of like a tune amongst other, there's a lot of tunes that are very similar among supporter groups. You got the Orlando one, it always is different and original, it seems, when it comes to their chants, when it comes to, the Knights and the national anthem and the stomping on the wall. It's just, was that like organic? Was that something that happened organically as a supporter group? Or was that something that y'all kind of as a group decided together that these are some of the chants that we're going to be doing?
I missed out on a lot of the creation. Yeah, a little bit. I missed out on a lot of that.
Yeah. We and I don't want to go on and on about the USL days, so I'll stop with this. But John might remember we used to do all kinds of shenanigans back then. It wasn't a regulated, dudes with MLS, polo shirts walking around keeping an eye on us. It was insane, and we would do crazy stuff. And a lot of this came from the USL days, but a lot of it is some very innovative people that came on during the MLS era, like Cori and others, that I think we've gotten a little bit more discipline, a little bit more regimen. But I think it's a little bit of both. It's some things that we practice, and then some things just happen spontaneously, which are great. Like everybody leaving the wall and going to the other side of the stadium when during the running of the wall thing. You never know what you're going to see when you go there. That's why we encourage people to come out and buy tickets. come to buy wall tickets. They're the cheapest, I think, in the stadium, and you will not believe what you see, and anything can happen, which I think is cool.
Yeah.
It's not only that, we
Corey,
have the most passionate fans in the
go ahead.
league. Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
John. Go ahead.
No, I was going to ask you about pretty much that anyway. And also ask you, what is it like when you're actually up there on the capo stand, which I see you all the time,
Yes.
actually leading the ruckus for, I think you do first half, I want to say, for a lot of games. Tell us about what it's like driving that passion. Yeah.
Oh
Tell
gosh,
us about that.
it's one of my favorite things. It was something I never thought I would do. I learned from, not to be biased, but I learned from probably the best guy who did it. And in really driving that passion and really trying to just cultivate. I mean, everybody's there. They want to do things. They want to be involved, and just figuring out how to get them involved, whether they know the words or not. It's one of my favorite experiences pretty much ever. I was just talking to somebody today, and I said, I think one of the best things I've witnessed is everyone likes to just drag. We've talked about the chants that repeats in so many different teams, and you hear the same ones over and over again. And Reddit and everything else, you'll see, why do we do Vamos over and over again? And I get it. You hear it a lot, but it's the one everybody knows. And for some reason, it's the one that everyone likes to take off with when we're trying to stop it. And it's one of the most magnetic and entrancing things when you're trying to cut it off and everybody's like, nope, screw you, we're not done yet. And you just hear the clapping over everything and the stomping, and they just do Vamos without the drum line. And it's magic, and it's contagious. You can't not get involved. I can talk about that for a very long time as far as that goes.
You guys might notice that because of Corey and because of the other capos and the drum line, you very rarely hear us when we're not doing something, doing a song. I've been to like away games and stuff. Supporters will come up with something, then you won't hear anything for 35 minutes until they start playing a little. Their team starts playing a little better. We go on constantly. It seems almost like 90 minutes with very few breaks. And again, thanks to our capos that Corey's running this year completely, and our drum line. It's just amazing.
I have a lot of help. And then too. So and everybody on the ILF stand to keep up that momentum. So it's not just me.
That's right.
I wish it was.
Yep.
Yeah, the two of you working together.
Yeah, we have 125 people live. Thank you for your support. It's tremendous. About 30 people on YouTube and about 95 on X. If you guys are on X, please retweet the video that you're watching. And if you're on YouTube, just a thumbs up, a comment, subscribe to the channel. If it's your first time around, appreciate it. We have content all the time. Brian Sharp says, Vamos Orlando, vamos Ruckus. Howdy from the Northeast Tennessee. Oh, wow. Yep. Awesome. Fantastic.
Brian's a good guy. We see him all the time. He's a good guy. He comes down.
This is Jim D. If I was Cesar's agent, I'll be pushing for a lot of money. They have to know the puppy system relies on that double pivot. Thank you, Jim D. Good to have you. Rodolfo Chang, Ruckus Rock. JC Beast, this is buenas noches, everyone. How are you doing, my friend? Good to see you. Your sock has holes, LOL. That's a salty. Yeah, that's awesome. That's really inventive. Like a lot of people from other, like, I'm usually in the press box, and so you have the Atlanta crew that comes when they play Orlando, or you have the LA, or from all these other, and when they see the atmosphere, they tell me all the time, it's like, this is so different from how we do it, and so and the cool thing is the way y'all are running things. Well, both supporter groups, I feel it's kind of inspiring, like Charlotte, for example, like to do certain things, or like maybe Austin, and maybe they don't tell you, but I get the info from like their supporter, their reporters or their press people, and it's really cool, to have one of the best fan bases in the league for sure. Jim D says, I've seen the Ramones multiple times. One of the best bands ever. Obviously, maybe we need a Ramones bass chant. There you go. There's a reason we
We'll write
chant
it
for
down.
90 minutes. We will sing the passion we will bring. There you go, Brian. Thank you so much. Miss Francis, good evening. Excited to have Ruckus tonight. I don't know. Can we talk Evander? I need to know what's going on with him. There you go.
Alrighty, we are gonna ask one more question to Corey and Dan, and then we're gonna get deep into transfer news because there's so much to talk about. Last question for you guys. Corey, you go first on this one, and then Dan. We want your best and your worst experiences on the wall.
Oh wow.
Well, Logan stole my answer for worst last week by saying it's any Atlanta game. So I was really upset about
answer. That's fine.
Every
That's
time.
a great answer. Yeah. Everyone
I'll
hates
start with the
Atlanta.
worst. Oh, it's so bad. But it's fine. I get it. They don't like us that much either. But as far as the worst goes, right now, because it is so present, is when we lost to the Red Bulls in postseason there, and that was really, really hard. Especially, obviously, everyone took it really, really hard, especially the players too. But what really was the cherry on top was looking down and seeing one of our kids sobbing, waiting for his player to come out. He didn't get to see him until the end. That was probably one of the worst. It's the first game that actually made me cry, and I was not happy about that. I was hiding. But the best, it's so hard to pick just one. Any PK shootout is up there. I remember Houston Dynamo in the Leagues Cup in 2023 was an absolute blast. And just how we continued that momentum the entire game. Running of the wall is an easy fan favorite. But really, any experience where we're carrying the team and you can feel that connection with the guys on the pitch, it's an instant favorite in that moment, and nothing tops it until the next time we do it.
Yeah, I think the U.S. Open Cup was amazing. That last 5 minutes was amazing of that game. Even though we were pretty comfortable ahead, it was just one of the greatest things in the world. And the worst is anytime we lose, and especially if the game was in hand and we somehow blew it, on the pitch. That walk down Church Street, we're way west of the stadium, was where we tailgate, and that walk down Church Street is always the worst when we lose, and it's great when we win. So, but yeah, U.S. Open Cup's my favorite. That was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I think.
Hopefully, you can get back to that.
Yeah,
it's the highest of highs and the lowest of lows, right? And you guys more than anyone in the stadium feel that you have the most passion, in my opinion. You have, the most drive. You have the most. You're showing it the most out there. So you're going to feel it the most. And I think also the reason we're kind of doing this, like having you guys out here preseason, is to talk all about, what it's like to be in, a supporter group, so that we can kind of get more of the stadiums to understand what you guys are like and what you're trying to do. And, hopefully have more people join the Ruckus. So quickly tell us, how can someone join up and like, what's the benefits of being in the Ruckus?
I'll take on this one. So there's the easiest way to join is online. We have a website. We link it all the time on all of our socials, Ruckus Orlando, and just about everything. We have a group to keep you up to date. We send out emails. That's going to be the easiest way. The friendly this weekend, when you come out and just find one of us, we can always get you in the right direction. We have an amazing leadership crew. There's 5 of us. And if you find one of us, we got you. And then as far as perks go, there's a whole lot that goes in. Like right now, we're working on our away days. We're also planning a lot of really great charity events, big tailgate things. I mean, we have front office sometimes do pie to the face, which is always fun. I mean, who doesn't want to see Jared? I love him, but who doesn't want to see Jared get a pie to the face? That's funny. So there's all kinds of stuff going on like that. And then a bigger thing this year, we get to work a little bit more with other supporters groups. We were able to join ISC, so that's really going to help us out. And not to mention, it's our 15th year. So we're going to have all kinds of wonderful things going on, all kinds of connections that we're working out. Again, Ruckus Orlando on all socials, ruckusfeedback@gmail.com if you guys have questions about your memberships, and then come find us at any tailgate.
And you guys have awesome merch and stuff that you get to wear. And so, yeah, there's a lot of cool things.
We have special merch this year for the 15th year.
Yeah,
we had all kinds of great stuff.
All this. So
I could see it right there.
Definitely a lot of benefits. Yeah. We want to thank you guys for coming out and talking with us. You're going to hang out for the rest of the show as we get deep into the transfer news. But we got to keep the talking what the people want to hear. Luis, we're gonna start with Cesar. This one. Maybe this is not what the people want to hear, but it's potentially looking like he's out the door. Luis, you want to give us the latest on what's happening with Cesar?
Yeah. So essentially, the word on Cesar is Uruguayan sources are saying that there's already an agreement between him and Nacional, which is where Mauricio Pereira plays currently. It's one of the top two teams in Uruguay right now. Um, now the thing is, there's really have not been anything said by the club about this. Nothing at all. But I have confirmed with them per a club source that Orlando City is currently working on a good offer. When I mean good, as an exclamation point, is that it's a good offer. It's a big offer, and the offer is now on the table, and they just passed the ball on Cesar's court. They just passed it to Cesar for him to receive the ball and see what he wants to do next. But the club wants Cesar. They've told they've put a good offer on there to renew with Orlando City, which is really exciting because obviously clearly Cesar is part of that double pivot that everybody's talking about that we definitely need to keep as part of our core. So that's right now what's brewing. And I know that maybe Mr. Tom Bower hasn't really said it, but I can tell you, I wouldn't be saying it if it wasn't true. I confirmed with a club source, and it's legit. There's an offer by the club, so now the ball is in his court. He's gonna have to decide what's best for him, and again, the club is gonna do what's best for the club, and also they've demonstrated that they also do what's best for the player. I mean, you want to make sure you want a player that wants to be here. Why will we have someone that doesn't want to be in Orlando? So but it's a good offer. For what I've been told, it's a very good offer, and this happened today around, I'll say, based on my timestamp, around 11 a.m. Eastern. So from 11 a.m. Eastern till 7:35 p.m. today, yes, a lot of things might have changed within the time that the ball is rolling, but that's when I put the tweet right there. So that's what Cesar right now. To me, I feel like he should stay. I think the league, it's a league that's, to me, better than the Uruguayan league. The MLS, to me, it's better than the Uruguayan league. I think he's part of a team that's going to compete, even though everyone says that they're not going to compete because we don't have Neymar. We ended up going to the Eastern Conference Finals last season. So, it is like that, and so you have to keep the faith. I feel like they kept a really good core. They're bringing some weapons, so we'll see. That's what's going on with Cesar right now, John.
Dan, your thoughts on if Cesar goes, or you dying for him to stay? Would you be? What's your thoughts on him?
I think, like most fans, if he's really important in the middle of the pitch, obviously. Now, if we knew we were getting somebody of his caliber or even better, we might be able to get through this. Okay, but otherwise, if he's just leaving and we're just going to try to make do, well, that makes fans nervous. It makes me nervous. So I hope what you were talking about, Louis, about negotiations from this afternoon. I hope something. I hope he stays. To be honest, for sure.
Cori, what do you think about Cesar? How do you use, like, one of your faves? What's your vibe on Cesar? I don't know how you feel about half the players, honestly.
Well, I don't get to see them very often, but
You
usually my
can't
back
see
is
the
to the
game,
pitch.
so you
No,
don't know.
I love him. I love him. He's so chippy. He was my instant favorite when he didn't back down from Messi. So I'm
Oh
like,
yeah,
oh, I can't lose
Yeah,
him. I need
that
him to
was
stay
cool.
forever.
Yeah.
that
I
was
just
epic.
anybody that can step up. I'm just you have to stay. Like I'll pay your salary. It's not going to be much.
He's-
Maybe a chicken sandwich, but
He's our
I need him to
bulldog,
stay.
you know? He's just out there like a terrier, just all
I
the
love
time, winning the ball back like a crazy madman. So, yeah, he'll be missed if he goes. But obviously, the club is making big efforts, Luis. Like we haven't heard about
Yep.
them offering a big contract
Yeah,
until
they're
now.
offering.
We know Cesar might have his head turned by wanting to go back to Uruguay. Like he might just want to go to Uruguay regardless. But if he's
Yeah.
asking for money and we're going to give him the money, like I think it's worth it. I agree with Dan. I think it's very hard to replace this window. Maybe now that they've opened up this new rule in the league where you can spend money on other players, like, but we'll see.
Do you? I mean, honestly, do you guys think that the club, just wants to sell Cesar? Of course not. I mean, do you think Oscar wants to give away his double pivot? Of course not. I just think it's part of, part of the, negotiation game. He just had a baby, too. So maybe that's one of the reasons, maybe family reasons. So, we'll see. We'll see where this saga takes us. Hopefully, it all comes in the end in favor of Orlando City, which I feel like hopefully this is going to go. I mean, Uruguay is going to have a hard time to compete with American money. I'll be honest with you. I mean, the American market is one of the reasons why the MLS is thriving right now. It's taking over markets that 10 years ago we didn't even fathom we were going to compete with, like the Brazilian, the Argentinian market. The MLS is right now, money-wise, with all these NFL owners coming in and pitching money down, they're getting out there.
Speaking of getting out there, Nicolás Rodríguez has arrived in the building. It's official. Orlando City has acquired Nicolás Rodríguez from Fortaleza. The deal that we'd all been waiting has now gone over the line. A lot of good positive things heard about this kid. I think for the money we pay for him, he seems like, I'm not saying he's going to be a Facu replacement in terms of the level of like play and the integralness of the team and the amount of goals, but he seems like a Facu replacement in the sense that he is another young winger coming out of South America that, likes to cut in on the inside and can score. So that's exciting. And I want to get Cori's thoughts on Nicolás Rodríguez, the newest Lion.
I'm weirdly excited. I was watching some of his highlights, and this kid will just come out of nowhere with this left foot that he has. I think I was watching some of the highlights in Spanish, and don't tell my mom, but my Spanish is really bad. And I think somebody called him the Cobra, and I was like, I think I like that. I think it fits.
That's a great nickname.
Insane. And he started, I like it. Can we market it now? Let's go talk to somebody. But as far as his performance goes, I mean, he was a starting player at 18 or 19 years old. So I'm cautiously optimistic about this one. He's not going to be everything we need, but I think he's going to grow really, really well with this team.
Dan, any thoughts on Nicolás Rodríguez? If you check some YouTube videos out, what do you think? Dan, you there, buddy? We lost you. Any thoughts on Nicolás Rodríguez?
Oh, I think
I don't think he's here.
I don't think he can hear.
They lost audio.
That's okay. Luis, you want to talk about
Nicolás? Yeah. I mean, crafty player, young, a lot of upside. Like we mentioned when he was rumored to join, a player that it's going to be, it costs maybe not a lot of money, but for at least for Orlando City wise. But I think on the long run, this is a player that, if he does really great in the league, he could be a diamond in the rough, and then we can sell him for like 13, 14, million, hopefully, so it's a good investment. Now, obviously, it's not the only signing that Orlando is going to make. I mean, the window doesn't end until almost starting of April, so there's a lot of There's going to be a lot of news coming up. Although I am going to say, and I don't know what you think about this, John. I mean, Atlanta just now has sealed Miguel Almiron for $12 million with Latte Laugh that they just brought in, plus Almiron and plus Miranchuk. They have their 3D piece, and all of them combined is $45 million. So, like, look, I'm not trying to compare ourselves to Atlanta. I'm just saying, they are definitely gonna look better than what they did last year because of the level of players that they're bringing in. And I think Orlando has probably, if not the same or better wallet than Atlanta right now. And I think it's just a matter of time of what they're going to be announcing, hopefully. This Evander talks, to me, is a turning point. Also, the fans are expecting something like that to happen. It's a piece that would definitely fit in the puzzle. And, this is money that needs to be spent for the club to take it to the next level after Facu left, So we'll see. John?
Yeah, I mean, I agree entirely on on Atlanta. I think, they're obviously spending a lot of money. We know that we're expecting a big DP signing. I think we're not going to have, I think that's a good time to talk about, the potential of Duncan being a DP. We've heard conflicting reports on that. Of course, Alonso reported that he was going to be a DP, but we heard Tom Bogert say that is not the case. I don't think we've had an official report on the club from those sources yet as to what's happening, but I don't think Duncan will be a DP next year. And from what I understand and from everything we've heard is that we do have this, whether it's Evander or not Evander, we have that big level, maybe number 10, maybe winger signing coming in as a DP to replace Facu Torres. So I think, don't be concerned by the idea of us just riding on what we've got. There's definitely going to be somebody coming in and somebody big.
Yeah, I want to add. I confirmed, and again, I know I'm not no Tom Bogert, but like I actually confirmed with the club. I confirmed with the club. They didn't comment specifically on Duncan McGuire, but they told me that they're actually working. They're in the market for a big splash DP to replace Facu Torres. So if that's the case, so then that Duncan thing, it's out of the water, in my opinion, right? So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, again, the transfer window, it's a pretty long one. And again, the club is doing what they can right now. And I know there's other clubs that are making all these splash signings and all that stuff, and it could work for them really well. Like it could be a bust, I mean, look at Chicago, look at Cincinnati, So hopefully, I will love Evander in Orlando as well. I'll be honest with you, but we'll see what happens there, John.
Corey, what do you think? About Evander or like another big signing, or like what do you want to see? What would excite you this window?
Oh gosh, that's a tough question. I have been super excited to find out what happens with Evander. I can't see Duncan. I'm so happy if everybody's disproven the whole Duncan thing. He just doesn't have the flexibility we need in that position. We're going to lose a lot of traction that we got there. But no, Evander, and I think that's a common consensus with everybody. And unfortunately, Neymar is not real. So so going with Evander is my big one I'm holding out for. If I'm wrong, I'm used to disappointment. It's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think
we've been in the Orlando City fan game for a while.
We really don't want to. I really don't want to be disappointed. I would love Evander to come. I'm hoping, like there was the reports of 12 million from Dallas. I'm hoping that's like a low bid from
Mhm.
them, and Evander is going to look at all his options before he makes any decisions. Maybe the club hasn't announced it yet. But maybe we put in a bet as well. I know we talked about there's a definite interest from us, and we have been talked by several people about being a candidate to sign Evander. But so have Cincy, so have Dallas. I'm sure there's other clubs around MLS that are looking at him. I mean, the guy was an MVP candidate, so. I think more than anything, it's the Brazilian connection, and let's hope that he actually likes the idea of playing in Central Florida, and he's like, "Yo, I want to go be around a bunch of Brazilians. I like Kaká. I don't know, whatever. Maybe he's a Marta fan. Whatever draws Evander to us, let's make it happen because that's
Well,
what
John-
we
Give him
need.
everything. Let's do it. I think he'll be happier here.
Yeah, he will definitely be happier. What are you gonna say, Luis?
Well, guys, I'm gonna make your day, and to the
Oh.
180 people watching.
Wow, breaking news. Oh, he is a Marta fan. I knew I saw that. I knew I saw
Touchdown.
that.
So
There you go.
she needs to call him.
Yeah, Marta's
She needs to
calling
call him
him.
right now.
Kaká's calling him. Everyone's got to call him out, and
Come on, Marta.
get that in. Get that in.
There you go.
Yes. Alrighty. Well, I definitely would be excited to sign Evander if that is real, and if that does happen, I would love for that to be the case. But moving on to other news, of course, we talked about Neymar last. I don't want to
Yes.
really spend any more time on Neymar than we already have. He's not going to Chicago. It was never a thing. I think he's just going to Santos, man, and just
Yeah.
he'll probably
Makes
just
sense.
he'll probably just retire at Santos doing nothing, chilling, So let's see what Neymar brings, but I don't think it's going to be for MLS. I think that was all smoke. Another news, Luis, we got some other news that I'm going to throw in here. We have some interesting things happening this week. Something that one that was quite shocking. Mason, Luis, we haven't talked about this. Mason Stajahar has been acquired. We did talk about it briefly last episode, but he has been acquired by Salt Lake. But then another thing that happened that was a complete shock, and I think threw a lot of people off, was Jack Lynn then decided that he was going to retire from professional soccer. And there's a statement from here. Luis Muzi saying, Jack is a player who always gave 100% for us here in Orlando, both in training and every game that he played. And basically, he's someone that has always been positive and part of the group and was ready to do what is ever asked of him. We're going to thank Jack for his last 3 years of hard work and professionalism and wish him nothing best for his next step in life. Jack has decided to leave the game, and I don't know what he's going to go do, but I'm guessing he wants, he makes more money doing whatever he goes to go do than he thought he was ever going to make as a soccer player, or maybe he's not motivated by soccer. I don't know. Luis, your thoughts on Jack Lynn just retiring out of the blue?
Well, I mean, forever a Lion, right? Look, it
forever
happened.
an OCB MVP, bro.
Yeah, I mean, what? I mean, it's his decision. Clearly, there are players that end up getting stuck in the sport that they don't want to play, and they just pretty much stick around because they're really good and they're in for the money. Like Philipp Lahm, for example. I don't know if you guys know Philipp Lahm. Left back for the German national team. He said he liked basketball more than soccer, and he just was really good at soccer, and he just happened to make a lot of money on soccer. So, there are players that do that, but he actually wants to pursue other options, and I feel like that is his decision. It is a tough road to climb, obviously. At his age, he should have already had minutes in the first team for sure. I don't think it's the club, and I know people are going to kill me when I say this. I don't think it's the club to be blamed on the lack of minutes. I just think that you either, if you're a fan, you can have both things. So we could put all youth, have OCB play all games, but we're not going to win. I mean, it's just like that. It's not like we have La Masia. It's not like we have the Real Madrid Academy. No, I mean, we're MLS. So it's, so, you have to have some sort of experience, some sort of core to build upon. Yes, we've talked about it on the pod here that, Freeman doesn't have minutes. Williams doesn't have minutes. Why they don't have minutes? Well, this year, we're probably going to see him play, for what it seems right now. That there's not many talks, but, good for Jack. It's his decision. I back him 110%. I think what he contributed to the club was great. He's a phenomenal player. Well, he was a phenomenal player. He accomplished a lot of things that maybe other kids that played next to him couldn't do, and he actually did make it almost, to the pros. And it just happens like that. Look at Teshua Kindele right now. He's like super famous doing
you would
other
never
things.
know that.
Look at Dennis Chin. Look at Dennis Chin, for example.
The way that man tweets about making Charlotte a walkable area,
Fantastic.
I would never know that he was ever a professional soccer player. I thought he would have been, a city planner his entire life.
Like a mayor.
Yeah.
It sounds like a mayor.
Corey, your thoughts on, Jack Lynn? I feel like for me, he was like one of those kind of like folklore guys that was like, yo, Jack Lynn, man, like, like Kyle Smith, like, look at these hardworking American kids, like they could do it. What is your opinion on Jack Lynn and his retirement?
I think ultimately for anything, it's always going to be like the what could have been type of scenario, especially because he was so young, considering, or is, I shouldn't say was, excuse me. He is so young. Sorry, Jack, if you watch. Anyway, but that's the biggest thing that hit me was, we could have done so much more. And we watched him. I go to OCB games all the time, and watching him play and watching his performances have been fantastic. So I was very disappointed. But obviously, if it's for personal reasons, like I wish him the best of luck. I hope he does find everything that he wanted there. It was just very, very bittersweet in that moment, just like it was with Mason. Just great. They have an opportunity somewhere else. Why can't it be here?
I think also there's a perception that sometimes like everybody would be like, oh, who wouldn't want to be a professional soccer player? Like if you had that opportunity, everyone would think that I'm going to take it. But I always remember like when I've spoken to Breck Shea a few times and had conversations with him, and he's like a really interesting guy who loves lots of things in life. Like he loves fishing and he loves like doing art and stuff. So like soccer for him was always, it was like always a career. It wasn't really like, oh, this is like my everything. And like for most players, it kind of is their everything. And we're used to that mentality. But for some players, it's just like, yo, I played in college and I went pro and I saw how it went. But really, I want to go do this, And they, for Jack, he might have looked at it like, yo, I'm never going to make crazy money. I could go play USL for like 10 years. Sure. But maybe he didn't want to do that. So that's up to him. And I think,
torn up ankles and knees after.
Right. And respect. And I think he is a great guy. And I think that it was awesome what he did with OCB. Like he's never going to, that's a great record there that might stay for a very long time. And all the best to him and whatever he wants to do with the next part of his life. But Luis, it does bring up that interesting point that you posted about, and that I last episode was like, no, we'll be fine. We've got enough strikers. We really don't have enough strikers anymore. Now we've lost our third option in Jack Lynn, and no one considers Muriel a 9 at all apparently anymore. So really, we've got injured Duncan, who will come back. Hopefully sooner rather than later, and Enrique. So it's all the eggs on the Enrique basket right now. So another thing on the list of signings needs to be striker, as well as potentially a starting D mid, as well as a starting number 10 or a winger. These the shopping list, Luis, is getting longer, and let's hope that they're working on it.
Yeah, so definitely. I agree. I mean, I posted that our corps are definitely wearing thin, and I posted like a kind of like a poll. I wanted people's opinions on, there's really not a lot of free agents striker wise, unless you want Kai Kamara, which has played everywhere in the league, except for
draw the line at Kai Kamara,
right? But Raul Ruiz right now, Yeah, so Raul Ruiz right now, he had an interview for Peruvian media a few days ago. And he talked really nice about Orlando City. He said, you know, they kind of, Seattle kind of left me stranded. They took Nico away from me. He was my biggest assist master. I kind of didn't get along well with Schmelzer at the end. They took away Medranda. They took away all the Brad Smith, so I just kind of felt a little, not represented in a way. And he said, when they asked him, hey, is Orlando? Yeah, he said, of course I would love to play with Nico again, So he's available. I feel like not as a DP for sure. I mean, he's 32 years old. But he's a player that between 2018 and 2021 didn't stop scoring. Like literally, he had more than 10 goals every season with Nico Lodeiro. Now, obviously, Lodeiro's a little bit past his prime, but he's still physically fit, But as a backup for Tam or Gam or Garber Bucks, if he's looking in the Peruvian market, that means that the money is going to be probably, we could probably pay that, you know what I mean, on Gam or Tam. So he's not really asking for a hefty salary. So that is one option, but there's many others. And actually, people put a lot of good names out. People put obviously people want Jack Grealish, Romelu Lukaku.
Why
that's
always
not
Jack
gonna happen.
We'll get right on that.
I will take Romelu Lukaku for sure.
Yeah, so there's people that put, there's this, Ivory Coast guy, they put people want somebody super young, from a European league mainly, but I mean, I know this is gonna sound kind of weird, but our core is Latino, so it could happen what happened with Kara again.
I mean, definitely in the attack, it's very South American.
Right.
The defense is a bit more European.
And Muriel, it is a 10 right now. I mean, being January the 20th, 8 p.m., Oscar Pareja looks at the roster and he sees Muriel and says, "Oh yeah, he's a midfielder. He's a attacking midfielder." Now, he could definitely be the 9 for the time being, and you just want to ride with Ramiro and Muriel on the 9, but I don't know if that's something Orlando wants to do. Now, if you have somebody on the cheap that's gonna come in, somebody proven that is not gonna take the spotlight off Duncan when he comes back, or take the spotlight off Ramiro, that could be probably Rui Diaz. That could be somebody within the league that is able to fill those shoes. For the time being, then Duncan's away. He'll be the 3rd striker when Duncan's available, So it'll be the order of the totem pole will be Ramiro, Duncan, and then the 3rd string striker at that point, right? And then Muriel as a 4th backup in case something happens. But I don't see Muriel as a 9, honestly. I really don't. That's why it's making it so difficult. And now there's a lot of names being thrown out. But I think knowing the club, I feel that the club feels more at ease for what they know, kind of. They're not going to go to Zimbabwe to get a striker. You know what I mean? They're probably going to look into Uruguay, probably going to look into Argentina. They're probably going to look within the U.S. They're not going to look at Ben Yedder, but that's another name, Ben Yedder. Then they mentioned Ben Yedder 30 times.
Corey, do you have any names? Do you like the idea of Rui Diaz? Do you have any names that you would like to see as a striker backup, or they got it? They can't be a starter. We got 2 potential starters already.
Rui Diaz is who I was really pulling for, but the whole problem is, and this is what we've been kind of giggling about with other teams, is I don't want it to turn into he's not retirement, but I don't want it to turn into the retirement league like we joke Miami is. So I don't want us stuck in that same song and dance where we're signing these older players and getting just really disappointed or screwed mid-season with injuries. So he's one that I'm pulling for, but it's only because I'm being very cautious. This offseason has had me kind of on the edge of my seat the entire time going, what's going to happen next? And how are we going to get these guys back? So I'm terrified. I'm white knuckling it all day. I knew these questions were going to come up, and I'm like, I just don't want to jinx it, guys.
No, I agree with you. I mean, I think you make a great point. You know, going young, it's definitely. I mean, it's definitely what we're doing. I mean, we're taking players like Angulo, like Ojeda. These are young players that Oscar has developed into what they're now. I mean, they're different players than when they first came in. Some people were actually getting a little frustrated when they first came in, saying that it wasn't gelling very fast. You know, they want, and so either you want a young player that yells the gelling, the connecting. It's like in 2 weeks. You know, you're not gonna get the whole. You know, you're not gonna get the whole.
Well, I mean,
KFC bucket, you know what I mean? You're not gonna get. It's not Burger King. It's not have it your way.
This is like Nicolás Rodríguez.
You know, it can't have it your way.
Right.
Nicolás Rodríguez is not going to come in
give.
and start like straight. Like he's not going to be incredible straight away, right? There's not like we're not gonna. And like he was a U22, so I think another U22 striker would be the way to go.
Yeah.
Like we have one more U22 slot that we could use if we're going the 3 DPs, 3 U22 slot. So I think that would make sense. I would, but also I would be fine with like a Rui Diaz, like
I would prefer that.
A veteran of MLS would be fine as long as it's like, yo, you're not a lot of money and you're like the third option, right?
Yeah,
the third option. You got Enrique and Duncan that hopefully will fight it out and keep themselves competitive to try and win that 9 spot back from each other. Like maybe one gets it and then the injures. Like I don't think it's just straight up Duncan is the backup. I think people who say that. I think we're going to see as soon as Duncan comes back from injury, he's going to compete. If Enrique is not scoring, he's going to compete for that starting spot because he's being paid like he is the starter. And I think that is probably the plan. But regardless, we need another striker for sure.
Yeah, he's close. He's close to 1.3 million. Duncan.
Yeah, so he's on a lot, but he's not going to be the DP. As we said, we're looking at getting in another DP. Jeffrey O. Luis is asking about Cesar. We did talk about that, so you can go back and look. The club is offering Cesar a contract. He's also got offers from Nacional. We don't know if he's staying or going yet. Luis, any more transfer news that we haven't talked about or we should get to?
No, I mean, right now it's just mainly what's happening. You know, then there's a Martino hater rumors about Estudiantes and all that good stuff.
Another one of our players trying to get poached.
From the player's standpoint, he doesn't want to leave Orlando. Orlando doesn't want him to leave. Orlando doesn't want him to leave. I mean, if you listen to the press conference he had. The day that happened with the Red Bulls, you know, that the whole debacle that happened, unfortunately, he was one of the people that was available in the presser, and he looked like he cried like before coming in. I mean, he was, you know, he felt frustrated. He felt like he could have done a little better, you know, and he said, you know, next season I'm coming and I'm taking over. When the interview he gave on their first training coming back, and they asked him about Facu leaving, is he ready to step in his shoes? He said, wherever Oscar needs me, I'll be there. Like, I just want to win, you know? So that mentality doesn't seem like it's like a, hey, I'm going to Estudiantes. So I don't think it's coming from the player at all. I just think Estudiantes, it's, you know, they wanted Driussi. That fell through. And then now they're looking for other options. And again, you know, South American teams feel like they can poach and compete with MLS clubs. And sometimes it may work, sometimes it doesn't. One thing about Estudiantes is they have money now because they have a new ownership. So, you know, in the end, John, it's going to come about money. It literally is going to be, if Estudiantes offers something that Orlando City cannot refuse, kind of like what happened with Facu, something they can't refuse. And then obviously they're going to pay, Ojeda is going to be paid more than what he gets paid in Orlando. Then more than likely, whether he doesn't want to leave is probably the best idea to move out of Orlando for betterment, for money mainly, not for the quality of the league. Because I still feel like aside of Boca and River, the rest of the Argentinian league is going down, compared to MLS.
I think also like he was signed to be the Facu replacement. Then Facu stayed way longer than we thought he would, and then now it's really his chance to be that Facu in terms of like, is he going to take the right wing spot? Maybe he'll stay at the 10, but maybe we'll sign a 10. We don't know. But I think really like this is his third year. We saw such a big improvement from his second year. I think he's so hungry to just get down to work. I don't think he's interested in making a move right now. I think maybe in a year or two potentially, but I really feel like he's bought into what we're doing here. And I saw so much from him last year. I would be surprised unless, like you said, Luis, he wants to go to be in Argentina. I think he's happy to be here. So, and I'm happy to hear it because I don't want to lose another player, please. Cori, any sort of like final thoughts on the roster? And, are you like I'm just happy we have the players we have person, or you're like, no, I demand better players kind of person?
I always demand better players. I get really emotionally attached and invested. Obviously, anybody does with any of our players. So when anyone goes, I'm like, please, no, don't do that. But as far as like anything else goes, I mean, it's really a testament to what the team has built over the last few years that they're turning Orlando really into a destination soccer area. And like Ojeda, specifically since he was just brought up, I mean, he wants to stay and he has that drive to stay, and it's attracting similar talent. So if we could just direct that into pulling the bigger names, I'd be really happy about it. Who wouldn't be? That'd be fantastic. More people to yell at in the wall. Yes, thank you. Fantastic.
I'm still thinking about Evander, man. Every time we talk about Evander, that's all I think about. So, but I like you can't get too emotionally invested in the idea of signing a player either. Like, we gotta. But it's all like, let's wait and see what happens, right? Because remember Duncan last year, this time, Luis, it was like, oh, turmoil.
Yeah,
and then he didn't even go. So it can all turn around.
Yeah, and then if you remember when it fell through, then all of a sudden, and this is, I'm not trying to knock it down on Duncan, but all of a sudden it fell through, and then he's like, oh, my city, baby, right? All of a sudden, you know what I mean?
We welcome you back with open arms.
Right, it's part of the game, though. People
need
to understand that's part of the game. It's just part of the game, So one thing I do agree with a lot of the fandom is this. I feel it is time not to be in the bottom 5 of less teams to spend in the offseason. I think this is the time that Orlando could be in the middle. You know what I mean? I think right now, if you see what happened with the Pride and how Haley Carter has managed that team, and sorry to bring that up, but it just makes a lot of sense. The Wolves gave her, okay, what do we need to win? I need a top striker Ballon d'Or nominee. Okay, you got it. I need this. I need a young core from Penn State. Okay, I need the FSU center back. Okay, so I feel like it's time, kind of like what the fans are asking is, they maybe don't want the Neymar names, but they want for the Wolves to kind of say, hey, you know what? This season, we're going to spend $30 million on 3 players. We get the 3, or 2 players of 20 million. You know what I mean?
I mean, that's Atlanta spending. They had a budget. I think it was 20 million for 3 different players. Like I don't expect us to be in that category.
Right, but I agree though with the fans on that. I mean, I think it's time for them to kind of,
We've spent most ever we've spent was on like Facu, right, which was like what 7 million or something like that. So we've never broken the 10 million mark. I don't believe so.
Yeah, no, we never.
If we spend like 12, 15 million, like that's if we go out and spend 15 million on, I know we keep talking about, but Evander or a type of player like that for that amount of money, it will be the most we've ever spent. So that I think is what we're all looking for
I'm
in this
convinced if we keep
window.
saying his name, he'll come.
Right?
Yeah, but I
we're
feel
making it happen.
I feel that Orlando has
I think that will happen this
one
window.
of the
I
best.
honestly do.
And I know this is not to like kiss their butt or anything, but I'm just saying they have one of the best duos. I mean, there've been some bad signings. I mean, I think you could, the way Kara left and Van der Water, and maybe what happened with Muriel recently. There's gonna be some botches down the road. There's gonna be some pebbles down the road. It's normal, but the success it's been higher with less. Have you guys noticed? Ivan Angulo came off a loan to buy from Palmeiras, 0 minutes. He's one of the players with most minutes in the MLS with Pareja. Same with Ojeda, underrated player. People are like, who's Ojeda? Who's that guy? And now you know who Ojeda is, and you don't want him to leave. Same with Ramiro. Ramiro's like, oh yeah, he's too short. Well, he started scoring goals, and then now he's a fan favorite. So Duncan McGuire, what they did with the draft.
They're hungry.
Yeah, so this is a team like Muzi and Moreira are a team that they've had some, they have some botches, but they've had more success than botches. I mean, and it's normal, just like in any job, you may double staple a paper. You know what I mean? You may, you may press the wrong button one time, you know what I mean? And you have to, just own up. I think what the fans want is them to own up on the mistakes, which, and fix them, and then bring them quality players that may not be the most name recognizable, but these are players that are going to boost kind of the team, kind of like what LA has done with Peck and with Paintsol, or like maybe with not what Inter's doing obviously, but maybe more like the LA side, what they've done, this last season. And look, from a failure of a franchise that was LA Galaxy, what they've turned it around is tremendous. So, yeah.
Corey.
But I think a lot of people are just wanting those people to really finish those chances. It's not just the acknowledging the mistakes, it's fixing them. And we constantly just leave those chances on the pitch. And with it, we're going to be stuck in the same position as last year.
Yep. Completely.
And we have all that base level, like hardworking guys, Luis. We've done that so well, but like Corey says, we need that like Nani or that cherry on top, right? We need that one guy that can just take the game and win it for us. And nowadays, to go out and find that guy, you got to go out and spend probably more than 10 million. Like, I think there's some intra-league guys I think would be really interesting, Luis. Like, imagine if we went and got Carlos Gil. I know we talked about that one all the time. But that would be a great guy. Like, fantastic. Now the fact that they've opened it up where you can basically just make a regular cash signing, but of course it has to have some fancy MLS name. We can go do that, and that's
even
how we
Lucho Acosta will be great.
Yeah, like Lucho Acosta. There's so many number 10s, so many great wingers out there.
Lucho Acosta's available.
I think Hani Mukhtar can still do something, man. I would bring him. He would go great with our team. Like, go find one of these great players in a team that has got a bunch of scrubs around them. They're fed up, and they want to play with some other guys. That I think, whether that's in the league, I think in the league would be safer because we know like we're getting a proven MLS guy. If you go down in South America and spend 10 million, yes, like LA got it all right this year, but there is a history of like spending 10 million on guys and being a flop. From Europe or South America. Yeah. So it's about the right guy and him coming in and hitting the ground running.
Yeah, kind of like when I mentioned to you my dream signing, Walker Zimmerman as a center back. Bring him to the sun. Bring him to the Cocoa Beach beer, man.
You love the idea. I mean, hell, I would take a TAM level, another center back. We always love that too. Yeah. Alrighty, I'm gonna read the chat, Luis. Anything interesting there before we move on to our final topic?
No problem. Oh, and a DP contract for Duncan honestly is not a smart move. We need a DP number 10 like Evander or someone like from Europe that has the skill to find Duncan and Enrique. Completely agree with Owen. Ray Alvarez, Neymar will be a headache to sign and a wasted money on a player. Yeah, completely agree. Yeah, they're not interested in Neymar. The club was never interested in Neymar. William Diaz Granados, Neymar is headed to Santos. Yeah, good for him. Eric Vega, a little bit of the Marta magic, hopefully. So we try and sign a new goalkeeper like Ramsdale or from Southampton or Matt Turner. Do you feel like we need to sign a goalkeeper? I don't know. I mean, I think Otero is a great goalkeeper. I don't know. I mean, Venezuelan national team.
Hear a lot of good things about Otero.
Yeah. So I don't know if. I mean, I know that we already have our three. There's Galese, Otero, and then the third one is that tall kid from OCB, I believe.
Yeah, he's
They
the
just
new
signed.
OCB #1. They might
Yeah.
just roll with two main teams
Yeah.
goalkeepers.
Tony asks, Rudias to Orlando, kind of like the Lodero signing. Yeah, it could be. Nope, Rudias is over his prime. We need better. We do not need another Muriel. Says William Diaz Granados. Thank you. Tony asks, Rudias will be good as a third string rather than a starter or bench. I agree with you. It says Rudias wants big money. Spend big money for a third stringer. It does not make sense. I don't think he wants a lot of money, to be honest with you. I mean, if he's in Peru asking for, I mean, not only that, I mean, look, if the club offers him, and this is based on what I've seen from when he talked to the Peruvian teams, if Orlando offers him a year contract plus option, like I guarantee he'll take it.
Well, like with Nico, there was like parameters for his extension. Like we could put that in. Like if he's so injured that he can't play, then he won't get the extension.
Yeah. So it will be something similar like that more than likely. Lukaku will kill it in MLS. I know, man. And Grealish too. It will be a slow start with so many new players, says William Diaz Granados. Jeffrey O, if OC doesn't pull through with the signing, would it seem like they are throwing in the towel?
No,
I don't think so. I mean,
I think it's just a case of like it's less ambition than we would like, but I still think we have a very good team.
So I ask you guys. So I don't know if Corey wants to answer this question. So we reach the Eastern Conference Finals. Clearly, the next step up is winning everything, right? So let's say we make it to the Eastern Conference semis 2025, but we don't go to the finals. Would you consider that a success?
Considering the previous seasons where we didn't even touch the playoffs, any season that we consistently get into the playoffs is a success.
Yeah. So that's, I mean,
I am clearly still scarred. If we don't make it, then I'll throw the fit.
Like if we don't make the playoffs, then yes. But I know that with the score, we'll make the playoffs.
And that's what it comes down to with everything, Luis, is like we're always, there's not to bring up the Papi out Civil War, but that's the same thing. It all comes down to like, are you happy with the players? Are you not happy with the players? It's like the people that are like, yes, like we understand, like we are a certain level of market and we want to be like obviously win it all, but you're going to be somewhat satisfied with, a very good level of play and a very good season. And then other people that, it's win or bust. And like every year we don't win is just a wasted year. So it's just about that mentality, I believe. And I think it's going to be hard, Luis, to get back to the Eastern Conference Final, right? Especially if we're making a lot of big changes to the team. If the double pivot goes, is that even like, what happens then? Like,
I mean, it is not impossible.
Yeah, it's
but
not,
definitely
but it's going to be more challenging.
Yeah, it's going to be more challenging for sure. And I tell people, there's a core in the club, and Oscar already said it in the first few interviews. We're probably going to see Freeman. We're probably going to see Thomas Williams this season too. So, and they're going to make, that DP signing that the club, kind of gave me that info today regarding a DP signing for Facu. So we'll see, I think we'll all still support Orlando City, whatever happens. I think we're all still going to be here. Still going to be talking about Orlando City. Still going to support the team. Chago del Ocho says, allá pagan con aguante y pasión. Yeah, they pay over there with passion and not giving up, in Argentina, because James Regis, Duncan didn't seem right after his first shoulder injury in the spring. Hopefully the surgery gets him right and he comes back pushing for the starting position. Yeah, he's that kid has a drive. I guarantee he's going to come with something to prove. William Diaz, the Wolves are supposed to have tons of money. No one should leave OC due to money unless it's ridiculous money.
Well, there's also the restrictions of the
league.
You
Yeah.
can't just pay everybody as much as I would love to do that. We have to be in salary cap and all those things, so it's very complicated.
Yeah. So
according to other teams, that's not the case.
Unless you're Miami, Luis, I got one more
Unless you're Miami.
final topic to talk with you about that also ties in. Look, there's so many accidental segues today, because we're going to talk all about USA Venezuela. I don't know if you guys caught this game. It was just a friendly. I actually went down to the enemy stadium, Luis. I was there.
You were there
Shea
at the
Stadium.
Did you get your oil change right there with all the?
It's at the giant parking lot.
Yeah.
It was great. Like it was fun to go. My fiance is Venezuelan, so we kind of go and watch them. And I'm loosely a U.S. men's national team fan. I mean, I am, but I was not super excited about seeing this B team that was out here. Gotta say, Patrick Aguirre put on a show. Luis, we know all about him and his Charlotte goals. One though I did really think about and got me thinking from this game. Jack McGlynn scored a really nice goal, and I was thinking like, if Cesar leaves us, how much do you think Philly would take for Jack McGlynn? Because that kid, he can play. He's young, American. That would be a great replacement, or that kind of guy I would love to see come into the team. We don't have enough Americans, Luis. We don't have enough good Americans playing for Orlando City. But this one, the reason I'm also talking about this, of course, is because on Wednesday, we're going to be hosting the second friendly of this January camp for USA. This one against Costa Rica at Inter Stadium on 7 o'clock. I'm going to be going to that one. Corey, are you going to be going to USA versus Costa Rica?
I debated it. I still don't know. Jury's still out. I was really excited. I think that the last weekend's game was the turning point for me, where I was like, okay, I actually might have to go now, because they have been not so hot previously, and that caught my attention right out the gate when I was catching those highlights at the Highland games. I was like, ooh, what happened here with Jack McGlynn? That was exactly who I was looking at. So you guys might see me there.
All right. I mean, it's USA B team and Costa Rica B team. I'll say that, right? Like it's BC squad we had out here, Luis.
We know
it was some scrubs out there.
I love
Luis.
a B team.
Yeah, Luis. It was like, look at this team that was out here against Venezuela. Like, you recognize some of these guys from MLS play, huh?
Yeah. Milovic made the team.
Wow.
Yeah, Milovic started. This is a big controversy. The guy who got rejected from Montreal, doesn't have a club. He was not good, dude. He missed a penalty early on. He did get a goal eventually, but sad to say, Venezuela, I just think, like, defensively, their B squad is just horrific. Like, it was very MLS performance from the U.S. men's national team, and just a not great quality.
I didn't even catch that he was there.
It wasn't great quality all around, but it did. There was a few interesting moments, like Aguirre, Patrick Aguirre does look like he could maybe do something. Jack McGlynn, like I said, Kalen Clark looked really nice. I do like Kalen Clark. Gutierrez had some good moments. Your boy Benjamin Kamashki, Luis, started in this one. So it's just interesting to see this kind of USA B team. But, of course, we're going to be hosting them on Wednesday night. So excited to see anybody else who's going to be going out for this game. And then on Saturday, Luis, what's happening on Saturday? Oh, my God.
Orlando City, Atletico Mineiro.
The boys are back. Are you going to be covering this one?
Yeah, so I'll be covering the Costa Rica USA and also the Mineiro Orlando City.
Oh, I didn't know you were coming out for Costa Rica. That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting for sure. I think the way Pochettino wants to see how far the MLS can go when it comes to the players, just playing without any international foreign players. And they picked Venezuela, which is a CONMEBOL team, and CONMEBOL teams, South American teams, even if it's Peru, even if it's Bolivia, which is one of the last ones too, they always say that they're better than CONCACAF. So it's good that it's a dose of reality also for CONMEBOL. If an MLS-based squad just beat Venezuela, also with their B squad, you have to say. I mean, so it was a team. It was a Venezuelan team based on Venezuelan players from their home league versus MLS. and the MLS destroy them. So I feel like, it's good for the league in a way, and it's kind of showing, to make a bus down south, saying, hey, don't sleep on on the MLS, man. They can also play on that level. Now, Costa Rica, yeah, I mean, it's also going to be the same thing, So they're going to be facing a Costa Rica, not with any internationals. It's going to be mainly just people from the Costa Rican league, essentially. And Orlando City Mineiro, today they had a sparring match, I do want to say.
Oh.
So Orlando City, the bench of Orlando City faced the starters of Atletico Mineiro, and then a mixed team. They lost 2-0. Orlando City lost 2-0 against Mineiro.
Well, time to boost that bench up. That's like the OCB team, right?
I mean, we saw Thomas Zulins was the starting center back. You had Alex Freeman as right back. You had also, we saw that other kid. I forgot his name.
Colin Gusky?
No, Colin Gusky, but it was
Tahiri Brown.
No, yeah, we saw him too. The other kid, that always gets injured. Come on, man. Right back.
Mikey Holiday.
Mikey Holiday. There you go.
I can remember Mikey Holiday.
Yeah. Mikey Holiday. There you go. So
alrighty. Corey, you're going to be going on Saturday to watch Orlando City Atletico Mineiro in the stadium?
I sure will. You guys are going to see me yelling at people. It's going to be a blast.
You're going to have, is a Ruckus going to be out? We're going to have like supporter group. Are we doing that for friendly? I don't know what the vibe is.
We don't have an official tailgate, of course. We have a big turnout with a lot of folks calling in to get one of the perks, of course, of being in a supporter group. And I know that Logan mentioned it last week. It's tickets to events like the friendlies and things like that. So we did have a big influx of interest. So it's going to be fantastic. A lot of new members that joined. So a lot of folks are going to be out there. We're going to have our capos on stand. So there's going to be support. It's going to be interesting. But we'll be out there.
That's awesome. Yeah, another great benefit of joining the supporter group. And of course, we got that big friendly coming up. You guys going to all go out to Tampa to play Inter Miami in a few weeks as well, I'm sure, right? What a combination that is. Off to Tampa to watch Inter Miami.
Yeah, so actually the city of Tampa.
It's like they don't know us at all.
No, this is what sucks. They don't know. So the Tampa politicians or whatever, they only know because of Mayor Castor. They know the Tampa Bay Sun. They don't even know that the Rowdies exist. I don't understand why they picked Orlando City. It was weird. Like it's just, I was surprised that the Rowdies. Typically if it's in Tampa, say, hey, Rowdies versus Inter Miami, but that would have been probably what, like 11-0. But either way, they are trying to get into the soccer market, and they're trying to. I don't know if they're gonna try to pull an MLS. I highly doubt, but I mean they're trying to essentially they make this Sunshine Derby, they say, to boost soccer in Tampa. I just don't know.
So are they pulling a San Diego who had a team and we're trying to get into the soccer market by getting another team?
Probably, yeah.
And just ignoring.
But it seems like.
That's great. I mean, it couldn't happen to a better team with the Rowdies.
Yeah,
However,
I mean, it's sad. It's sad. I mean, I feel like they're trying to test if there's a big market of soccer for them to maybe there's an investor that wants to do wants to maybe try to go for a franchise. But yeah.
They got 400 million spare.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, it's Valentine's Day, so it seems kind of like a joke.
Owen saying, "Sadly, I can't go. It's the rule. 24-hour. It's
Valentine's Day, So,
but that's Valentine's weekend.
So if Inter beats us, what does that make us?
Yeah, I
single.
Whether Valentine.
I feel like, yes, we've got this preseason friendly, but we don't have anything after that, right? Like, we got it. Why don't we have, something else at the stadium?
I-4 Derby, man.
It's
Those
like
things are rowdies,
$100,
man.
bro. It's like $100 to sit
Yeah,
way up to watch this team. Like, it's a friendly. It should be a $20 ticket. I get the Messi's there, but it just seems to me like they're just trying to make money off of the Messi fans in Tampa,
no,
and we were just the opponent that got chosen.
But is he even going to play?
Well, probably that too, right? He might
is he even going to play? We always do this, and then he never shows up.
Yeah,
No,
I mean, we've signed ourselves up to be the team that plays Messi, basically, which is fine. I think it's good that we play them more often, because the more often we can play them, the better we're going to be when we have to play them in important games. So I just think it sucks that it's in Tampa and they're charging $100. So that's
but you should see what they're charging in South America for that South American tour.
Oh yeah.
In Peru, for a meet and greet, you get a picture, and you don't even pick the player you want to take a picture with. They can pick between whoever's ready first. Busquets, Alba, what's his name? Messi, and the other guy, Suarez. They pick the front office picks whoever. Okay, your meet and greet. You know how much it costs per person, the meet and greet and the entrance to the best seat in the house? $1,000 per person.
I'm pretty sure Luis became my favorite person just now by going, "What's his name, Messi?" I love you for that. Thank you so much. That made my day.
You forgot Messi. That's great.
Yeah, it's tremendous, man. It's
too much.
No, but it's not only that. South America's poor. I mean,
yeah, they're sucking the life out of the game that was designed for every man. Should not be expensive. It should not be expensive to play it. It should not be expensive to watch it.
And I'm gonna say this real quick, just to end that thought. One of the biggest sponsors of that thing is a bank in Peru, and they're offering loans. So you are gonna loan money. You're gonna borrow money from a bank. You see, this is
go see Messi.
That's impoverishing your populace, man. This is impoverishing your people.
Oh dear. All right, we've taken a very
sad, man.
a very sad turn at the end here. But dark turn. But hey, overall, a very hopeful episode, I want to say. I want to thank Cori for coming out from the Ruckus to talk with us, and Dan
as well.
We sadly lost Dan because of technical difficulties, but we got to hear his thoughts on the Ruckus, and he was an original, Luis. He's been there for a very long time, every weekend, week out. So those people always will have my respect. The OGs, as well as you, Cori, and everything that you've been doing. And we thank you so much for your efforts on the wall and leading everybody and bringing the atmosphere and making game day special. I can't tell you how many times Luis is always like, "Yo, the wall was so loud tonight."
Yeah,
I feel it because I'm in it, but I think sometimes you guys forget kind of what you're bringing, and we want to make sure that you're appreciated and also have a chance to get more people to join the Ruckus. So thank you. Any last thoughts from you before we head out of here?
Reiterating, it is a big year for Orlando City and the rebuilding that we're doing, mini rebuilding that we're doing right now, but it's a big year for the Ruckus. So I really encourage everybody, not only is it huge for us, but getting back and partnering in with the best way that we know how with ILF. I'm expecting really great things this year. So I really hope anybody who's undecided about joining a supporter group can come on out and join in on the fun with us. They're going to be missing out otherwise.
That's awesome. Yeah, you guys' tailgates are a lot of fun too. So we haven't mentioned that. Luis, you want to get us out of here, do the socials. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, for sure. Please, there's almost 300 people, man. 287 people live right now with us. 270 on X and about 20 people on YouTube. Subscribe. We are available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Also, this episode will be available there for you on audio and also in video, as well on X at LP_podcast, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're trying to reach the 2K mark. We kind of appreciate your support. Thank you for definitely. We started 2025 with a bang. We didn't really stop much. I think we only have 1 week off, and then we just came out. So thank you to Corey, to Dan. Thank thank you guys on the chat as well. Salty, James Regis, Owen, everyone. Chavo del Ocho says you don't like fish and chips anymore. It says you now like all arepa.
That's so true. I love me an arepa. But,
yeah, there you go.
Always have space in my heart for fish and
There
chips.
you go.
Bro.
I would like to see more of Sakata this year, says Owen. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Anyways, Air Vega as well. Bye bye, guys. Vamos Orlando. But anyways, thank you, Corey. Thank you, John. And as always, Vamos Orlando. Take care, guys.
Vamos Orlando.
Have a good one.
Vamos Orlando. Bye, guys.